This is Chapter 13, Measuring the Economy's Performance, Discussion number 3, Inflation. Another important statistic when you're referring to the nation's economy is the idea of inflation. Now, a more basic term is called purchasing power. How much can you buy with the money that you have? Now, we see inflation, for example, in the movies. I'm sure if you've watched a movie from that was about the 1950s or 60s, you're probably amazed that the gas prices are 15, 20 cents a gallon, whereas now they're nowhere near that. So the idea is how much money do you have versus how much can it purchase? So what we do is we want to take a measurement of how much your money can actually purchase. So very basic idea, first we have the word inflation, which means that prices are going up, which means a dollar now will buy worth a dollar's worth of stuff now. However, 20 years from now, that same $1 bill that you have may get only what would be 50 cents worth today. That would be inflation. Now, deflation is where the prices are going down, which means that over time, the dollar bill that you have in your hand is able to purchase more items. So, when we try to measure the ideas of purchasing power or inflation, we have two important ways that economists measure it. The first one, and this is the one that most of what's going to be referenced, is referred to as the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And essentially what the government does, it's a government created number, where they take the prices of over 80,000 different consumer goods. Anything from flour, bread, to cars, and other things that you would purchase. And then every month they essentially go shopping, figuratively, not literally, for these 80,000 items and services, and then they total everything up and they say, okay, this is how much it was worth, this is how much it is worth now, and we see that the price has gone up overall. That's a measurement of inflation. Now, if we have one or two items that go up in price, for example, gasoline, we'd be all over the place. But if we take all 80,000 of these items together, it's going to be a nice evening idea where it's going to be a fairly decent picture if overall the prices are going up or the prices are going down. Now, another index that is taken a look by economists is the idea of the producer price index. And the reason why this is important is that these are the prices that producers are paying for what they need in order to produce a company. For example, a car manufacturer, they would be part of the producer price index for how much they paid for steel, for rubber, for car parts. And so the reason why producer price index is important is because if the producers' prices are going up, they're going to be passing on their increase in cost to the consumer, which means that the CPI will be going up in the near future. So while the CPI is kind of a now picture, the PPI, the producer price index, is a picture of what's going to be coming after the average price change for producers because their raw materials and their prices are going up. Now, the reason why it's really important for us to understand what the PPI does, but more importantly what the CPI does, is that remember when we took a look at national income and when we took a look at gross national product, we're saying that we're counting all these numbers, and all these numbers are being rendered in dollars. That's kind of like the unit. When you measure distance, you use yards. When you measure an economy, you use dollars. We don't go around saying that our economy is doing so well. The total productivity is 15 million cars. No, we use dollars for this. Or I mean, if you were in Japan, you'd use the yen or whatever the monetary system is for your country. But what we need to do is that if we want to compare the productivity of the United States now versus the 1950s, remember the 20 cents a gallon, the 350 cents a gallon doesn't really compare very well. We're still producing a gallon of gas. And so what we do is we use the CPI to adjust the numbers so that we can kind of have an equal representation of the items, the goods and services that are being produced, rather than just the dollar amounts. Now, if we were just going to use the actual raw numbers that we got from our research, we'd call that the nominal amount. If we adjust the numbers for inflation so that we can compare different eras in different years, when it's adjusted, it's then called real. So most times when you're going to be considering the GDP, the national income, you're going to be looking for when the economists or the researchers tell you this is the real GDP or this is the real national income. And that means that they've adjusted it, and then you can use that to compare to different time periods and also perhaps different countries. So that's why that is important as well. That concludes discussion number 3, inflation, as part of the Chapter 13, Measuring the Economy's Performance.